Hey man, I hereby conclude we in here. Just got done watching the interview with Nick Chagilli, Dom Cordone, I believe, and they were interviewing Chris Psycho. That's right. First off, Dom, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Webb's Gym. I know a lot of people are from there, but that's actually in my neighborhood. So, what's up? I believe it may have been you who at one point trained there. If it's not you, I'm sorry. It might have been somebody else, but I'm sure you could figure out who that was. If it wasn't you, it wasn't you. But if it was you, it would be nice to maybe get a session or something with you if you're watching this. Now, the purpose of this video is, and I'm laying down. I hope y'all don't have an issue with that because it seems like nowadays on my channel I can't do anything right. But Shawn Rhoden. Now, if y'all been following me for a while, y'all don't have to have been following me back when I actually put out lifting footage and y'all actually liked watching me work out back when there was some personality on this thing, right? But if you've been watching long enough, you know that my two favorite bodybuilders in the open for the last several years have been Juan Morel and Shawn Rhoden. And Shawn Rhoden apparently was actually thinking about retiring after this year. Like, this was going to be his last show, and that was it. Which would have been crazy because he definitely did not win that Arnold Classic because he had those bleeding ulcers and almost died. So it's like it would have been now if he would have just had that Arnold and had a good showing at the Olympia, okay, but it would have sucked just to have him show up, bounce back at the Olympia, and disappear. But since he won the Olympia, I don't think the boy's retiring. I don't think the man's retiring. Chris Psycho said he was thinking about retiring. He was going to retire, be a family man, and start some other things that he has going on. I don't want to put everything out there. If you haven't seen the interview or even Shawn Rhoden's interview that he just did with Dave Palumbo and Chris Osito. Now, why is this crazy? He's definitely old enough to be thinking about retiring, but if he did retire, this would have been a crazy year. Crazy year if he actually had retired because Jose Raymond's retiring this year. Flex Lewis is done with the 212. That would have been too much retiring going on. But instead of giving a retirement speech like Dennis James gave at the Olympia, still kind of sad to see him go, even though this was like almost a decade ago now. He gave a very different speech. And, since he was retiring, he apparently threw everything into that prep. I mean, he always does what got to get done, but he was like, well, Chris Psycho said you might as well just do whatever I say since you're going to be done. And came out with I would say the W, but he got the O. And that's really exciting and encouraging to someone like me. As far as aspirations, I don't plan on being in the open anytime soon, but even just in classic, I see people like Danny Hester still going. People that were young once and they're older now. Like, people don't understand. When I first got into this, like, Danny Hester was one of the people that I studied. He was a top national competitor. He wasn't a professional. But like when I was studying, like when he turned pro, I was excited because I knew how long he had been at it. I used to watch his old footage from the 90s. But there was going to be a separate video about Danny Hester probably at some point, detailing why I'm a fan of Danny Hester and all that. But this is about Shawn Rhoden. Now, Shawn Rhoden, many people compare his physique to Flex Wheeler. And what I thought was interesting about this interview was that Chris Cycle said he was just like Flex Wheeler in his training approach, and that when it was on, it was on. Like during the set, he gave all that he could give, and when it was over, he was just dead. And how that translated into the myth that Flex Wheeler was a lazy trainer because he would give everything, and in between sets, you would just see him just chilling, like basically out of looking like he couldn't go on. But you know these guys train hard, especially if you are paying attention and watching more than just the little training videos, because they would talk about how him and Chris Cormier and Rico McClinton and all these people were training and the things that they were doing and how impressive they actually were in the gym. Now, I'm not going to make this a video that's super long about nothing, but this is about Shawn Rhoden. This is about bodybuilding. This is about just these older competitors still having to go and still giving it all that they have and still being able to achieve great things. And life after bodybuilding. Because Shawn Rhoden was going to retire and get involved in other things. And I don't think people who are young, like how I'm young and everything, like I'm young, Cody Montgomery's young, Chris Bumstead's young. Of course, these guys are professionals, but we're all young, right? And sure, we have an idea of life after bodybuilding, but we don't really take this seriously. Like, we see people like Dave Palumbo now doing different things. People like PJ Braun and Aaron Singerman doing different things. We see people starting, like, look, Flex Wheeler doing various things with Stan Efferding, and I think he's even doing some independent things. Kevin Levrone got his supplement company. Ronnie Coleman doing things. But there's more than just... And Nick Trigilli. Like, there's more after bodybuilding. Like, after bodybuilding may come at a lot younger age than you think. And there has to be something set up for after bodybuilding. And Shawn Rhoden, even being this top competitor, highlights that, because here's a man who won the Mr. Olympia title, number 14. And he was thinking about retiring and being a family man and doing other things, because that's what happens. When it's just you, or maybe just you and one other person, like a spouse or something, you really don't care about other things, because bodybuilding still is pretty much your life. Bodybuilding is all you care about. It's all you watch and think about when you're on YouTube, when you're planning and you have free time. But when you have a family, things change. And you want to be around for your family. You want to spend time with your family. And you have to be realistic and sometimes say, all right, maybe I've gone as far as I can go. And like Sean Ray likes to say, sell off into the sunset. Other times, you need to be very aggressive. Well, not very aggressive, but you need to actually play the long game, which is take care of your body. Don't get torn up. Don't snap your stuff up. Like, one of the marvelous things about Shawn Rhoden that Lee Haney was actually talking about is that he doesn't have that wear and tear on his body like other people have. By his age, still looks good, hasn't hurt anything at this current time. And so that enables him to still compete and be a top contender and even improve. So by training smart, you're able to get some nice longevity out. And you might not get that title you're looking for today, but tomorrow might be the day. But at the same time, while you're competing or doing whatever you're doing, you need to have things in process you need to have things moving along in order to be able to live life afterwards. I hope that I didn't speak too fast, for one, and ramble on too long or wax too elegant. But I'm really trying to encourage people to, one, to think about life after bodybuilding, and two, still do what they can do in bodybuilding if they're able to do it. So don't just throw in the towel, but at the same time have an exit strategy, because you're going to have to exit. Like, Jose Raymond's been competing forever. Forever. And he's retiring. That's a wake-up call. Shawn Rhoden, top competitor for a decent while now. He's been competing for a while. Took a break. Bounced back. Turned pro. And was going at it. And look, he was thinking about retirement. Became Mr. Olympia. He gave it all that he had to give, and he was able to knock somebody out that was said to be unbeatable. So now he's probably going to keep going after it. But it's in his head to retire, and he's setting things in place and in motion so that once he retires, him and his family can still eat. He can still take care of his daughter. He could probably have another daughter if he wants to, or son. And that's what it's about. Because you're not going to be able to do it forever. You're probably not even going to want to do it forever. And it's not healthy to do it forever. So that's it. And congratulations on the win. Shawn, Rhoden, Chris Osito, because they share in the victory too. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys. I hope this was a message that benefits somebody. And I hope that you guys like this video, share this video, comment on the video on how it could be better, and tell me what y'all want to see. Because I keep saying tell me what y'all want to see, but y'all not telling me nothing. Y'all just complain. Until then, how you going to act?